Hello there everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video is going to be all about Sabrina's story, so how I kind of stole a cat. Basically, I had a stray cat called Sabrina, who I thought was a stray. We spoke about it on videos, we all thought she was a stray. She's not a stray. I'm going to tell you the whole story. I mentioned it briefly in my reading diary and people were like, please make a video on this situation. So, how this whole thing started is that last Halloween, on Halloween night, I went into the street because there was a full moon and a cat ran up to me. This cat is grey. I named her Sabrina. She was incredibly thin, incredibly like malnourished, not looking great at all. She came straight into the house, was so loving. You guys all think she's a Russian blue. She's like a grey cat. I don't really know a lot about cat breeds. She came into the house, we fed her, she was like starving, really hungry. It was really raining outside as well. And then from that point till like March, she slept in our bed, she was always in here, we fed her. We just thought she was our cat and that was it. And we're moving, so when we moved we just thought we're gonna have to find a flat that takes cats. That's it. Like, I love Sabrina so much. Sabrina the Teenage Witch is what she's named after. I had her in videos, everyone was like, she is definitely a stray. From the looks of her, definitely a stray, no collar, incredibly thin. Like when she ate, she just like was so hungry. So it was fine, she was living with us, she's such a lovely, gorgeous cat. Then I decided to put a collar on her. So it had been heavy snow outside. Do you remember when we had that weird hit of snow in the UK? Well, that's like the Armageddon. I don't know why we had that. Heavy snow. I decided to buy a collar from her because she's our cat. So I popped the collar on her, she went out, and we don't have a cat flat because we live in a flat. We never would have intended to get a cat in this flat because it is a flat. She's really good, she just meows near the door, she wants to go outside and needs to go to the loo and all that kind of stuff. So the collar was on her, we were both out. Then when we came back, we got back and then we let her in when she came back. And the collar was gone. Now how she gets in is she actually taps on the window over there. She just taps on it with her paw. Literally, can you hear her there? Did you hear that? Like, she like scratches the glass now, which I don't enjoy. Or she like taps on the window and meows and we let her in. So everything was going well. Then we were sitting in here and a woman came down our steps, and we have a front door and then we have a little like letterbox where you can put stuff in, but we don't have a letterbox in our door. This woman got on her hands and knees in the snow. No joke. We were both like, oh my god, is she gonna break in? What on earth is she doing? She was forcing a piece of paper under our door, so we were like, what? We've got a letterbox there. She then forced it underneath our door and walked off. I walked over to the letter, and I'm going to put the letter in the video here, but the stuff that I covered up is obviously her personal information because on it was her name, her address, what she'd named the cat, like personal telephone number, everything. I'm going to show you the letter, but that's what I've covered over. So here is the letter. It says, "Dear neighbours." It's got the date on it, it's got 2 pictures of Sabrina, and then have you seen our daughter's little grey cat? And then I've just covered up the rest of the letter because it had all their personal information on it and the name they've chosen to name the cat, and I just didn't want to, you know, for privacy reasons. But I was pretty shocked to get this through my door. So as you can see from that letter had 2 pictures of Sabrina. It was like, "Dear neighbours, where's our cat? Our cat's missing. There's really cold weather because of the snow and we think someone's feeding our cat as well and we want to know where our cat is." You know, telephone number, full names, address, everything was in that letter. I saw the letter and I just want to make one quick note on the letter. You could either say, oh, they were actually concerned because it's been snowing and they were concerned where their cat was sleeping, but we had her since October, so why all of a sudden? Or I think what happened is they saw her in the street with a collar on, and because I'd put the collar on her the day before, they seen her with the collar and was like, oh, someone's taken our cat, even though they weren't properly looking after their cat. So I ran out in the street, my boyfriend ran with me, we caught this woman and was like, oh my god, your cat is in our flat. She then started walking towards our flat and she was like, oh, I'm gonna get my cat now. And I said, do you not have a cat flap? I wasn't rude though, like this is gonna make me sound like I was like, do you not have a cat flap? Like, I wasn't like that. She said no, because our house is a listed building, we can't have one. What that means that in the UK, if your house is really old or like a historical person lived in your house or something like that, you can't change the windows, the doors, put in a cat flap, you can't do anything like that. You can't touch it because it's like a historical building. So she can't put in a cat flap, which she could in her back door, who's gonna see? Like, that's what I'd say. Like, she owns the house. She could. She lives directly opposite from our flat as well. Let me just put that in there. So she was walking back and I said, oh well, you really need a cat flap, because that's why she's kept coming to ours, because in the rain, in the snow, and obviously you must remember this was like October time when she came to us. It's October, November, December, January, rain, and then it's snow in the UK, so it's incredibly cold for a really small cat to be out. So she was coming back, she was like, I can't get a cat flap, it's a listed building. And we weren't arguing, but we were kind of being sharp with each other, and I think because it was like snowing, we were like trudging up the road, it was snowing, we were trying to be heard over each other, and there was like an annoyance. So I went down into our house, she like followed to come into our flat. Sabrina wouldn't leave because it was snowing. It was really awkward. So I tried to pick up Sabrina, she leapt out of my arms, like went around the flat, she would not leave, so I had to really get hold of her. The woman was at the door, it was all like really awkward and embarrassing, and then I put Sabrina down and Sabrina ran under our bench, which is outside our flat, and the woman was trying to get Sabrina and she wouldn't let the woman pick her up because obviously she's a cat, she wants to get back in the warm. So then Sabrina ran up the road, the woman ran after her and was like, thanks, bye. So that happened. I was in shock. I actually cried because I was like, I thought Sabrina was ours. I thought when we moved, we were going to get to take Sabrina with us. And then I realised that whole situation of like, she's not your cat. Like, she's someone else's cat. They obviously want their cat back. By law, you can't take her in or anything like that. So that's to bring you up to now. So Sabrina has an owner, like that's the story. We have still been letting her in, but only when it's kind of like raining really hard, or she'll start really yamming and like tapping at the window. Like now, I don't know if you can hear in this video, like she's been yamming at the window to be let in. Sometimes we will, and I'll look over to their house, and if their cars aren't there, then obviously she's just out in the cold because they don't have a cat flap. And one thing I want to say about that is that I don't think it's right that if you have a cat, you don't have a cat flap. Did you? I can let you in a minute. I don't think it's right, because in the UK, like, it just rains so much that to put a cat out in the rain that much, I think it's incredibly cruel. Some cats are really homebodies and like really want attention, like Sabrina, so it's not fair for her to be out in the cold. But one thing I will say is that they have been a lot more attentive. They've been in the street shouting, no joke. The woman across the road and her daughter have been like outside our flat when Sabrina's been trying to get into the flat, and as I've like gone to open the door, they've been like trying to get their cat to come back with them and like lure her back. So they've definitely realised, okay, we need to try and like get this cat in more. We hear them sometimes in the evenings call the cat so the cat can come in the evenings and stuff like that. Sabrina comes here a lot more than she goes to theirs, but I don't know if that's out of habit. It's not because they're like terrible owners to her, and I think now that she's put on more weight, they've definitely been feeding her more as well. And I just think, I don't know, I feel really awkward about the whole situation, because I still want to let her in because I feel like she's my cat, but she's not. But then she was in such a bad state when we first got her. That's why I always remember, is like how thin they let her get and how neglectful they were. And they obviously just wanted a cat but didn't want to look after that cat. Hopefully this whole situation has shocked them to the point that they think, if we don't look after this cat and let this cat in and start feeding her properly, then those neighbours, she's just going to go and live with them. And they obviously want her to live with them for some reason. You know, they've been screaming in the street trying to get her in and all this different stuff. So I think this has maybe shocked them into being better cat parents, but they definitely weren't originally. Sabrina has a home. I stole a cat. People had to send round letters to find the cat. But one thing I would say is I think she only posted the letter under our door, so she knew we had her cat. Like, it wasn't a mystery. Dear neighbours, she might as well just put our flat number, or what she really should have done is just knock. Just ring on the door and say, oh, that's actually our cat, and talk to us one-on-one would have been a lot better. But yeah, everything has been fine. One thing that's like kind of annoying is that sometimes when I'm sitting in here and Sabrina comes over to the window, they'll like get right up against our gate and start like shouting down at Sabrina. Like, not horribly, they're just like trying to get Sabrina to go back into their house with them. But obviously I'm sitting like a few feet away from them because I live in a basement flat, so I'm literally right near them. They're like screaming in. Hopefully within time she'll just go back to theirs, but we do still let her into ours, so I don't know if someone's gonna like disagree with that. You shouldn't let her into yours anymore. I just think when she's soaking wet and it's raining, like yesterday she came in because it was raining so hard, she was soaked through. She was so cold, it's unbelievable, because she literally has no shelter to go to. And I really think they need to get a cat flap. Like, honestly, I'm thinking about writing them a letter. My boyfriend keeps saying no. But we're going to move soon. So I'm just thinking of maybe writing, tell me what you think. Because my boyfriend is so against this idea. Because he thinks it will cause trouble and we'll get in trouble for it. But I just want to write them a letter and say, like, not meaning you should be disrespectful. I think maybe you should really get a cat flap, or maybe a little like dog house that you can put in your drive. So Sabrina has some kind of shelter, some kind of thing to go to. What do you think? Because I'm so for it, and the boyfriend thinks that the police are going to be called, but I'm sure they're not. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Anyway, that is Sabrina's story. I'll stop talking now, talking for so long. But yeah, we thought she was a stray. She's not a stray, but we do still let her in. Tell me what you would do though if you were in my situation now. Would you still let her in even if she's like soaking wet outside, freezing cold, or would you just leave her out there to wait for them to come back in? Because the thing is, they could literally get a cat flap. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this, but they have a garage next to their house, and the garage is like a new build garage. It's obviously not listed. Why not just put a cat flap in that garage? And I might put that in my letter as well. This letter's going to be so rude. I'm going to be like in jail in my next video, being like, I wrote the letter. I've been arrested. But just put a little cat flap in the garage and she can go and sit in the garage. Just get a little dog house, put it on your drive. Like, I just don't think these things are that difficult. And also, why get a cat if you're living somewhere where it's going to be it's not a farm animal, is it? Like, anyway, I'm going to start ranting, so I'm going to stop. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you do in my situation. Tell you what I should do with my little passive aggressive note I'm going to write. And that is it. I will see you again soon for another video. This is what she does every day outside the window. And she never used to scratch the glass as well. She's only started doing that since we've not been letting her in as much. Aww. I let her in because it was raining outside. And they've also put a collar on her, which I think is like a good step. Now she's all cozy and in.